Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for inviting us to this event. The chair announced that talking English was a bit difficult in the morning. For me, talking in general is difficult in the morning. So I am happy to have had a sip of coffee, which hopefully shall help me through this talk. So I'm Delphine Moralis, and I'm the Secretary General of Missing Children Europe. Missing Children Europe is a European umbrella organization that brings together 29 national grassroots organizations from 24 countries with a mission to prevent, support and protect children from any situation of harm, abuse or neglect that may lead to or result from going missing. Now, the issue of missing children obviously is not the topic at hand today, but we know from research available that missing and sexual exploitation are in many cases intimately linked, and that children that go missing sometimes become a victim of sexual exploitation, or that many children often go missing because they are in some form victim of sexual abuse or exploitation. This is why Missing Children Europe has been leading a number of initiatives and projects regarding the sexual exploitation and abuse of children. In particular, we have been hosting the Secretariat of the European Financial Coalition Against Commercial Sexual Exploitation of Children online for 3 years, and we have also coordinated in cooperation with ECPAT and ENACSO a survey on the transposition of the Directive on Sexual Exploitation and Abuse in the 27 member states bound by the directive. In the interest of time, I will focus mainly on the European Financial Coalition, which we have now been very happy to hand over to Europol, where it continues its activity. So the European Financial Coalition Against Commercial Sexual Exploitation of Children, it's a very long name, we usually refer to it as European Financial Coalition, brings together law enforcement, payment system providers, ISPs and NGOs in preventing and responding to the specific issue of commercial sexual exploitation of children, which is a narrow scope within the broader scope of sexual exploitation of children online. The Financial Coalition works around 5 key areas of work, including first and foremost operational work, investigations, secondly, strategic analysis and reporting, thirdly, private sector support and cooperation, fourthly, training of stakeholders in working together on the issue of commercial sexual exploitation of children online, and last but not least, awareness. The Secretariat that we have hosted at Missing Children Europe was funded for 3 years by the European Commission under an ISEC program, and we are very happy that since November, Europol has now been taking over the Financial Coalition for it to be embedded within the European Cybercrime Centre. As such, it will continue as a long-term program within the activities of EC3. Just to give you a bit of a flavor of some of the findings that we have from the strategic analysis that has been done in the course of the 3 years, I wanted to highlight a couple of key challenges that have been met by the researchers in this project. First and foremost, the definition of commercial sexual exploitation of children remains challenging. It remains challenging as different entities understand the issue differently and have challenges in identifying it on the one hand and in cooperating on the other. Secondly, the traditional distinction between commercial and non-commercial sexual exploitation of children no longer applies. We remember from years ago that there was a clear picture of children being exploited for sexual purposes, where the idea was really to sell the images. What we see now is that people with a sexual interest, on the one hand, become more entrepreneurial and start seeing the benefits of selling these pictures, and on the other hand, people with a commercial interest that would not necessarily be interested in sexual exploitation of children would gradually go into this area because it is profitable. Thirdly, live streaming of abuse remains a big challenge and is an issue that needs to be tackled. This is particularly challenging in emerging markets where the internet is starting to be penetrated and where young, vulnerable children are often not protected in the way they are in our countries. 4, we see that there is an increasing challenge regarding commercial sextortion of children, and Europol and the European Financial Coalition are, among others, looking at how to raise awareness about these children, to empower children to understand when they are being extorted sexually and when they can and should put their boundaries and seek help. 5, we see that the deep net and the dark net, in the course of the 3 years where we have coordinated the Financial Coalition, remains a big area of concern, where a lot of tailor-made material involving children that are abused very actively is to be tackled. 6, we see that traditional payment systems that were used for the commercial sexual exploitation of children years ago no longer are on top of the list. Rather, they have been replaced by virtual currencies, which I believe make the work of law enforcement and others involved quite challenging. A last challenge that has been identified by the European Financial Coalition is the use of cyber lockers by those exploiting children for commercial sexual exploitation. In the 3 years where Missing Children Europe has been privileged to coordinate the Secretariat of the Financial Coalition, a lot has obviously been changed. First, the Directive on Sexual Exploitation and Abuse of Children was transposed into national law to some degree of successes, and it is clear that this directive now does harmonise to some extent national law. But as it mainly sets minimum standards, there is a wide scope for interpretation at national level, and it will be challenging to see how this is being applied into reality. We also see that the work of the Council of Europe with the Lanzarote Convention can provide some guidance on some of the aspects that we are discussing in this context today. Secondly, the payment sector has changed really dramatically, and it is clear that the world in which we operate today is not the same as the world in which we operated later. And I believe law enforcement and those involved in preventing and responding to the sexual exploitation of children online see new challenges and need new ways of working to be able to protect children online. So what we need to do is, first and foremost, to talk and to work together to make sure that we build bridges and have a common understanding, and that we understand that what we do together is in the interest of the children. Thank you very much.